Hello everyone, welcome to Club Deck Corner here on Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. This week, Rangers hit the bump in the road we were all told to expect, and we are back in European action as we travel to Lisbon to take on Benfica in the last round of 16, whatever way you want to call it, on Thursday evening. I am Scott Carney, and joining me tonight is only Nicky Oven due to Alistair having technical difficulties with his Wi-Fi. Nicky, how are you, mate?
Very good, mate. Very good. Managed to pick myself up after a pretty rocky weekend as a Rangers fan. It was kind of up and down. So yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm looking forward to Thursday night, the return of European football.
Very much so, yes, very much so. It was an up and down weekend, mate. We will definitely get into things. Before we do, shameless plug as always, to support the channel to reach the next level, you can join the channel for as little as 99p a month. You can also buy the podcast a coffee. Join the Coffee Buying Legend membership via buymeacoffee.com. All the links are in the description for this podcast. But the biggest thing that you can do to support us is subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. So all I ask you to do, just subscribe to the channel. You've got no idea how much one subscription helps this podcast out. So just one subscribe and like the videos. It's as simple as that. If you like what you're watching, if you like the video, that would be absolutely smashing. Before I forget, Jimmy from Johnston, not Jimmy Johnston. Jimmy from Johnston, we met him in the pub on Saturday after the game, but we all had a face like thunder, but he very kindly bought a larger pint. So Jimmy, thank you very much, mate. It was a pleasure talking to you. That's just before I forget about you. I'll get that in there. Also, you'll have seen probably on the channel that we've started doing a sort of blog, really, just as something to try something new. I put it on, it's going to be through our community page on the YouTube channel. Each of the podders will get their chance to come on, have their say on all things Rangers, topics of things of that Rangers of that week, etc. And it's just something new. If you like it, please let us know. If you don't, tell us and we won't do it again. It's as simple as that, but it's just something new, something to try and keep things a wee bit fresh on the podcast. So if you wouldn't mind checking that out, giving us your feedback about it, that would be smashing. I think that's everything, mate. I think that's everything. I think we can get on to the matter of the weekend. What a basket case of a weekend it was, mate, for the Old Firm, was it not? I mean, we are told to expect twists and turns in a title race, and look, we are probably not used to this. As a Celtic, a lot of the Celtic support are probably not used to this kind of title race. You would have got some amount of odds, mate, to put Motherwell to win at Ibrox and for Hearts to beat Celtic. Just a complete up and down weekend of being a Rangers fan, it really was.
Yeah, I was just going to say, are you sure you've got nothing else to round off at the start to save us actually talking about Rangers,
I know.
given what happened at the weekend? But no, you're right. It's very bittersweet. I think your point on odds is a good one. I was quite surprised, actually. I think somebody had mentioned that it was the first time that both the Old Firm had been beaten in the same weekend since about 2018. I actually thought it would have been further back than that, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah.
But 5-6 years ago it was. But yeah, I think bittersweet. I'll be honest, I was pretty down on Saturday night. I think the same as you guys. I know we exchanged messages on WhatsApp. I was quite down, largely because I just thought we've blown this here. I think obviously we speak about Celtic a lot. It is very nice to see circumstances over there aren't great, but I think one thing that they do have is they have that track record. They have that kind of muscle memory of winning titles. And I was a bit nervous that we've left the door ajar for them to get in. But yeah, downs and ups for the weekend. I think I was, like you and many others, delighted at the fact that we got away with one, to be honest. And I think people talk a lot about, I've seen a lot of mentions about they've bottled it, pressure's got, I don't think it was, to be perfectly honest. And this is only my opinion. I think we've spoke a lot over the last few weeks about pressure. We've been under massive pressure to close the gap since Clement came in. I think we've performed brilliantly in that sense. We then came under massive pressure to then, could we overtake them? Could we take advantage of their next slip up? We've passed that. And then, yeah, we've then had the pressure of staying top, and we've had 2 or 3 opportunities to do that, and we've done it. I think Motherwell I actually think it was more complacency than pressure, in my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if the players and maybe Clement had one wee eye on Benfica and just thought, you know what, Motherwell at home will take care of itself. But it was funny, Ali and I obviously done the live pod on Friday. We actually came off the pod and in the 5 minutes to end, we both looked at each other and went, this would be so Rangers to negotiate St Johnstone away, Hearts at home, Kilmarnock away, and then fall at the next hurdle where you go, it's a banker. But we've got off with it. As I say, the next thing I think is all about the reaction from this team. We've seen a reaction after the Old Firm. We went on, 11 or 12 in the spin. That's what we need. I think if we're going to win this title, we need a similar reaction, mate.
Yeah, I think your point about the bottling and the mentality of the team having what it takes to go through it, I think that's a go-to, and I think it's a go-to for fans when they're annoyed about what they're seeing, but it's because we have seen it before. So I can get it to an extent of people saying that. I am in agreement. I don't think that was Bottle on Saturday. I don't think it was really much to do with Bottle. I really don't. I think there was an accumulation of a lot of things that led to it being as poor as it did, which we'll try and break down, obviously, as we carry on through the podcast. But I'm not going to, for one, sit here and say that it was the Bottle going. I probably shouted at Ali as I left Ibrox that's what I thought it was, but I was annoyed. And that, even my reaction after the game, it was all in context. Like when you go back and watch it now, you'd be going, that's a bit of an overreaction, Scott, considering how the Celtic game turned out. But I had in my mind, like every other Rangers fan probably did, they'll probably go to Tynecastle and murder Hearts, and everything that we've done's kind of been not undone, but we're all of a sudden we're behind again. But no, for me, it wasn't Bottle. It definitely wasn't. Not in my opinion. I don't think it was, and it's up to Clement to make sure that it wasn't Bottle that it went, and it's not the mentality that's going, and that it was very much just a kind of bump. Into the game itself, mate, we say it was the worst home performance under Clement by a mile. Honestly, an absolute mile. A slow start, poorly conceded goal, left us with pretty much a mountain to climb because we didn't look like we were at it. A defence that had looked so solid, mate, for so long, made mistake after mistake. And Suter and Goldson neither really did cover themselves in any glory. John Suter is coming in for a bit of criticism, as is Connor Goldson. Suter was poor, he was poor. And the bit that's concerning me about Suter is he's maybe not gung-ho. He think he's probably a wee bit too gung-ho at times. He should try and read the situation a little bit better instead of trying to kind of rush in, because that's what ultimately caught us out. I don't think the shape of the way we were when we conceded the first goal, in terms of the way our midfield was lined up, the way that our defence had lined up, we weren't really switched on at it, and it was a poor goal to concede. But Suter had a terrible day at the office, and Connor Goldson did not enjoy the presence of Theo Bair up front. We always say that Goldson's got this in him. He has this odd day where he just has a bit of a off day. Nothing really seems to go for him. And with Suter, I've been happy enough with what I've seen from him. Don't get me wrong. I think I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite on myself, because I've been fine with what he's been doing because we've not been conceding goals. But there's no way on. We cannot be seeing too many repeats, put it that way, of Saturday from they two.
No, agreed. And you mentioned Goldson he has one of those days. Goldson's having one of those months, if you ask me. I don't think Goldson's been great. I think I remember turning to one of my pals who I was at the Ross County game with, saying he's having an absolute nightmare. And that was one of the most dominating performances Rangers have had under Clement. And I remember thinking, he's having an absolute nuke here. He was constantly putting us under pressure. Some of his clearances with his head, he can't seem, and we'll come on. I'm sure we'll come on to corners at one point. I've never seen a guy who can win so many headers but has a complete inability to direct them the way he's wanting them to go. And Goldson's winding me up a wee bit. And again, this is a pure Rangers thing to say, right? But again, I turned to my mate a few weeks ago at one of the games, and I thought, do you know what really winds me up? The socks, right? Doing it his ankles, throwing about like he's Baresi. He is not good enough to stroll about like he's Baresi. And again, I think one of the things I had said was, I think our other defenders play better when Goldson plays. I do. I don't know if it's maybe an organisation thing or maybe a talking thing, but I think you see a better version of Suter, Balogun, probably even Ben Davies as well, when they are playing alongside Goldson. But it's fine to say that, but it's also fine to say that come the summer, we need to be looking at the centre-back position. I think Leon Balogun will not have his contract renewed, I don't think. Ben Davies, I suspect, will be one of the top of the list to get out the door and try and recover some of the funds that we paid for him. I think we need to be looking at more centre-back, and whether that's Goldson is potentially, we need to start thinking about a succession plan for Goldson as well. He's been here, 6 years now? We need to start thinking about moving ahead. But he's just had one of those days or one of those months where nothing went right. And Goldson has history of this, right? He has a track record of struggling when he's up against big physical forwards. You think about the boy, is it Nubley for Livingston? I remember him giving him a few nightmares, a few fixtures over the last few years. The boy who was up front for Motherwell was the same. On Suter, Suter's got a horrible habit, or he's getting into a horrible habit of making mistakes that lead to goals. You see some defenders, they'll maybe make mistakes, but actually maybe their other centre-half comes in and covers for them, or maybe their full-back comes in. And Suter just seems to have getting into this horrible habit of whenever he does tend to make a mistake, we seem to get punished. You think back to the Kilmarnock game at the start of the season, a clearance that he messes up, they score from, I can't remember if it was a throw-in or a corner. Similarly, again, I do wonder how much him playing on the left-hand side comes into this. We know how dominant Suter is with his right foot. I think one of the key pieces about Suter is his ability on the ball. You look at when he played with Hearts, he kind of played right centre-back or right centre-back of a back three. His progression, his passing to break lines, he is very, very talented on his right foot. You look at some of the passes he can make. I do wonder that when he's on that left-hand side, you look at the first Motherwell goal, it's a ball coming down. If that's on his right-hand side, does he just clear it into Rosette? Potentially, he's just been knocked off balance a wee bit. He's trying to swing his left leg at it. All of a sudden, they're in behind and they punishes. But I think again, it's one of those days, and you could say similar things about the other end of the park, Scott. Right? You look at the XG, and I don't read too much into the XGs, but our XG against Motherwell was a lot higher than what it was against Hearts in the 5-0 game. That kind of tells you something. It maybe is one of those games where it just doesn't bounce for you. You're not getting the break of the ball. They're making last-ditch tackles. Hopefully, it's just one of those games you tick off and kind of move on. But yeah, I think centre-backs remains a problem for us. We've spoken about them a lot. The kind of type of goal that they concede, it's another kind of hoof into a centre-half that you would expect that quality centre-half to deal with. And at the end of it, we end up conceding goals.
Yeah, there's no doubt that they both have their issues, but and it's hard. It really is difficult as a Rangers fan and as people that do podcasts not to be too knee-jerk with reactions. But I think when there's a bit of distance between, in terms of that, I mean yardage between Goldson and Suter. Suter's all of a sudden as if he's off the leash at points, and he just kind of rushes into things, and the amount of times he gets caught under the ball. He's very good at initially reading a header. I've said this before. He's very good at initially reading a header from a goal kick or whatever it may be. But the second one, he seems to be, because he's not in his starting position, all of a sudden he gets caught under the ball and he can't read it very well. I'm looking at there might be a number of things down to it. There might be a number of things that you're right about him playing on the left-hand side, but collectively as a pairing on Saturday, neither of them enjoyed their day. Neither of them enjoyed their day at all, and they were poor. But you did mention the other end of the pitch, mate. I think that's vital to also talk about. I'm not going to bash Dessers. I'm not, and it's not because I've been hanging about with Jamie too much or anything like that, but I don't think you can bash the guy. I think he's in a position right now where he's 100%. He's improved from the initial appearances and performances that he was putting in when he first came into the squad. But I think, again, you're maybe looking for excuses where there's not any. When a striker needs 4 or 5 attempts to get a shot, to get a goal, it's going to catch up with you. And I felt like just as bad of an off day that they did, that Goldson and Shooter may have had, I felt Dessers had one of those days where he could probably still be playing now and he still wouldn't have scored a goal. It just didn't work out at either end, and the kind of lack of real cutting edge that we have in the squad just kind of reared its head, and it's probably an accumulation of all those things, mate. Maybe tiredness as well, maybe, I don't know, where the kind of games are catching up on us. We'll obviously come on to talk about the injuries, but Dessers, And I suppose same could be said about Silva. We don't have a, what's the word I'm looking for? We don't have a striker that's like a predator, that's just, as soon as he gets a chance, you know he's going to score. None of them are in that sort of form just now, and maybe it's not in their nature to ever be like that. But just as poor as we were at the back, mate, we were just as poor at the front.
Yeah, agreed. I think we've spoke a lot about Dessers because I think anybody who plays as a number 9 for Rangers will score goals. You look at the amount of chances we create. You could pull a boy out amateurs or juniors, right, and he'd probably eventually score goals. The amount of times we put crosses into the box and create chances for people, etc., etc. But yeah, again, this is one of the things with Dessers, isn't it? We always talk about, when we look back on Dessers, will the £3.5 million be a successful £3.5 million, or actually is it we've spent £3.5 million, it was all right? And I think the clear differential was if he's going to deliver in big moments for us, i.e. semi-finals, cup finals, Europe, games versus Celtic, Pittodrie, Rugby Park, etc., etc. And you're spot on, Clement. There is clearly massive progression on Dessers. You look at his stats, his goals, what he's contributing to the team since Clement came in versus again, it was a small sample size, 6 or 7 games under Michael Beale, but he has massively improved. But you're absolutely right. When you need 4 and 5 chances to score 1 goal, it will eventually catch up with you and bite you in the arse. We've been very fortunate that against Ross County, he had 8 and 9 chances. He scores a double. Again, that was just one of the games where it just didn't come off for him, and now we're feeling the effects of it because, like I say, if you have, and it's probably why when we had these pods over January and we spoke about what we wanted in the window, a prolific number 9 was probably top of people's lists, because you look across the other side of the M8, Shankland and Edinburgh on Sunday. 2 chances, albeit one was offside, 2 brilliant finishes. Dessers doesn't score any of them, in my opinion. I mean, you look at
he might. You never know. That might be one of the shots that goes in. Do you know what I mean? You don't know.
It would be a miss hit, but right.
Yeah, probably.
So,
yeah.
First one he probably hit so hard. The second one he
deflection.
The second one he tries to beat 3 defenders instead of just smashing it like Shankland did. So
yeah,
you're right. These will catch up with you. Unfortunately, the other players have not been able to dig us out. I think sometimes you can carry strikers like this when you go, do you know what? It's just not their day. It's not come off for them. But actually, we've got a left winger, a right winger, a 10 who's all contributing. But as we'll come on to, we're missing massive players in key positions at the minute. You think about Saturday, we had a youth who, let's face it, has been hot and cold. He's probably going through a wee patch at the minute where he's not performing overly well. Maybe in an ideal world, you would probably take McCausland out of the team for a few weeks, let him rest up, and then kind of bed him back in. We just don't have that option at the minute. You're having to throw him in. And then you've got Sterling, who, let's face it, is a right back or a centre mid or a bloody goalkeeper, whatever position you want him to play at, playing on the other side. They just never managed to dig him out, I think, because we don't have the likes of Sima or Danilo or even a fit Roof or Matondo or Cantwell, etc. So we're missing massive players. And I think when one of those days, sometimes you would hope that your team will dig you out. They've just not managed to do that on Saturday.
I think as well, and it's no criticism of Sterling, it really isn't. I can see the appeal of playing him in that position on the right hand side, and a spoiler alert, as Mr. Pearson would say, that I can see him starting there on Thursday night, because of who we're playing against. But against Motherwell at home, is it really something that we need? We moved McCausland to another side where I thought, I've not seen him out there. I've no idea if he played there for the youth or not, and I just felt like it kind of nullified him as well. And then you've got the rotation as well of Raskin coming in, who hasn't merited a start. He was anonymous the first 45 minutes he was on. Doesn't look like he has any sort of form. Don't know if he's fully fit or whatever the issue may be with him, but he's seriously down the pecking order. And even a right back that's starting right wing for you would play in centre mid over him, and pretty much everybody's opinion, I think, because I don't think Raskin covered himself in any great glory. But a cumulative of the whole team was just one of those days where they all didn't look like they were at it. And I do agree there was probably a slight bit of complacency creeping in, because there was 3 big games before it. No one was talking about this game. It was all about the St Johnstone game, the Hearts game, the Kelly game. They were the 3 tough ones, and this one probably, I don't think it's right, don't get me wrong, and I think Clement will be disappointed if he does believe that it is the case that the players became complacent with this one, because it shouldn't have been the case. This should have been a routine 3 points, but as I say, it just looked like an off day at the office for pretty much everyone. And as I said, in hindsight, it's very easy to sit and say it doesn't really matter now. We just need to make sure, because in my opinion, the result on Sunday takes the pressure completely off Rangers for that performance. They've got away with one, we've got away with one. That's good. They've had a disaster on Sunday. Brilliant. We move on, and if anything, we're slightly better off because we've got a better goal difference than we did at the start of the weekend. But yes, we were talking about injuries, mate. Now, the tackle on McCausland. First of all, Alan Muir, the referee on Saturday, was a disgrace, a real disgrace. Obviously, we will criticise referees even when we win, and I don't really like to get involved, but there's a bit of a media storm happening with referees right now, and you'll be shocked at who's stirring that up. Anyway, Muir was poor, really poor, terrible. Didn't have control of the game from this get-go. The boy I was sitting next to on Saturday, Scott, and his boy Ewan, I said to Scott, he's lost control of this game, and we're about 2 minutes in. I was like, he's not got a clue. He doesn't know what he's doing. And from then on, he never could control the whole game. He was holding on to the game by the shirt tails. Really, he didn't ever get control. But the tackle on McCausland's the one that's I'm going to focus on. When I initially seen it, I went, that's a red. I was like, he's flung himself into that there. There would no real need for him to fling himself into that. People are saying, oh, maybe he didn't intend to be that strong. It doesn't really matter if he intended to be that strong or not. He was. He's hurt McCausland. McCausland seems to have took a pretty big dent on his shin. And ex-referees, Ref Watch on Sky Sports, etc., I've said that it was definitely a red card. The penalty decision took 14 minutes for reasons best known to VAR and Alan Muir. Should never have been the case. There's the one about Kamar Roof released on social media. He was literally had 4 guys wrapped around him trying to pull him to the ground. Again, nothing's done by it. And then the reason that I'm bringing that up is the guy that should have been sent off for the McCausland tackle was the guy that scored the goal to win the game. So we've been hard done to by referees far more than, I'm not going to talk about their issues, but they're stirring up this media thing now that they're the ones that are getting done by referees. They've had the most penalties awarded for them. They've had the least penalties rewarded against them in the league, but it's still very much a conspiracy against them. It shows you how upset they are, how poor their team were on Sunday. But anyway, back to the other situation. Cantwell's getting kicked off the park in games, mate. He's probably injured just now because of some of the tackles that he has had. Where are we with referees? Is this just incompetent referees that we're just going to have to suffer and let it go on and continue on as if it's all okay? The game up in Scotland is suffering because of it, but Alan Muir on Saturday was abysmal, mate. Like, completely abysmal.
Yeah, I think it's just where
I realised, sorry there, mate, that was also a wee rant. I kind of went off on there because I could feel myself going. I was like, I better rein myself back in a little bit.
Perfectly legitimate. I think it's just where we are with refs. We've spoken about it for long enough. I don't buy into conspiracy theories and refs are against Rangers or against Celtic or any other club in Scotland. I just think they're shit at their job. And what I find amazing about this is we've given them a pretty nifty bit of equipment to be better at their job, and they've somehow managed to get worse. Because I think some of the decisions they are making on VAR at the minute is just not even VAR, but some of the on-field decisions that they're then making that VAR then has to intervene to correct is just ridiculous. The McCausland tackle, obviously, I was watching on TV. I wasn't at the game on Saturday, but how he's not even. I mean, to give the ref the benefit of the doubt before I go off here. The ball, I think the ball travels the way the Motherwell player was moving. So maybe he's looked at it and thought, you know what, he's won the ball because the ball's kind of continued the way he was moving. But you think back to the Motherwell, the Aberdeen game, Dujon Sterling. Obviously, he made
Stood
a
on somebody's
tackle.
toe. He stood on somebody's toe.
Stood on somebody's
Yes.
toe. But straight red, I think when you looked at it on VAR, originally it was he's very high, right? You then look at, you have the benefit of VAR, you then see he stood on the toe, and then the narrative very quickly changed to, oh, it's the aggression, it's the pace he went into it, it was both feet coming off the ground. I mean, the Motherwell player ticks all three boxes, right? Because he's actually missed the ball. I think if you look at it, he maybe touches the top of it, crashes through, serious pace. There's intent there, I think, to lay one on him. The game has changed. 10, 15 years ago, you would probably be all up in arms cheering those sort of tackles, but you just can't get away with them these days. And I think for the referee not to blow a foul in the first place, I think it's quite staggering. For VAR to not recommend an off-field review of the incident, I find even more baffling, to be honest. As I say, it's the inconsistency that is killing people here. You think about, you can come up with countless, every time a decision goes against your team, you can come up with countless examples of other teams in the league who have benefited from very similar situations. And I think that's what's pissing people off. And the narrative that has been made across the city is now scaring referees into giving us penalties. Yeah. I mean, the Fabio Silva penalty, there was two people fouled him. How much fucking more do you want, right? Excuse my language, right? But how much more do you want to have to make a decision here? Not only was he fouled by one individual, he was fouled by two players in the box. And I get the first TV angle that I seen, it doesn't look, it's hard to tell, but with the benefit of VAR, you look at two or three other options and you go, Fabio Silva has clearly chipped the ball over the sliding, maybe O'Donnell, whoever it was. He's been body checked by the guy who stays on his feet. And then whoever it is, I think it's O'Donnell, as I say, crashes through him. So how it then takes, as you say, 10 minutes to make this bloody decision is just ridiculous. And I get there was a wee bit of kind of handbags from O'Donnell and was it maybe Dujon Sterling while the referee was
so.
playing about with his earpiece, kidding on he was doing something, right? But it's just honestly baffling. And then even the roof one, I know he shared it on Insta. Be perfectly honest, I didn't notice it at the time. But again, it is just another example. You look at some of the penalties they've been given, and we've been fortunate with these as well. We shirt tugs, etc., etc. I mean, he's gained one of their defenders a carry bag through the box at one point. So again, what are the guys at VAR doing, right? Are they away for a tea break? How are they not looking at these and going, actually, ref, you should probably come back and have a wee look at this because it looks as though there might be a penalty. And I know that lot are kind of aggravated as well about some of the decisions. The penalty that he got as well, I mean, it's just farcical, the penalty that he got. So they've got a cheek to moan about bloody decisions that went against them. But yeah, in short, I think it's just where we are. And I think part of the problem here, Scott, and potentially the biggest issue is the SFA just stick their heads in the sand and think everyone's rosy.
Yeah, they're almost negligent with the manner of refereeing in Scotland, and I've said it since we've started this podcast anyway. Scotland need full-time refs. Like, there's no doubt that we don't, and I think I even heard on Heart and Hand that we won't have a representative for any major competition, major European competition this season, which tells you everything.
Surely that's alarm bells.
It has to be. It just has to be. It has to be alarm bells. It just does. It's a hell of a state to be in. It's the inconsistency that drives you mad. It really is. And now that the narrative has started, because, well, we all know there's an Old Firm coming up and a massively big Old Firm coming up, so this will go on for the full month. They'll pull out their idiots and they'll have their say. Stubbs being the perfect example of that earlier today on that PLZ, coming out with his just drivel, really. Lennon was even on Sky Sports after it, and Boyd was winding him up fantastically, to be honest. It was good to see that. But yes, it is the inconsistency that will just drive you mental. We are the team that were hard done by refs this weekend. No other team in Scotland were. It was just us, and they would say that we're not pulling out in players that have played for us years ago to have a go about it all, but we all know why that's the case. I say they're even, I shouldn't be talking about them, but they're even requesting the audio and all that kind of thing, the way the Rangers done, and the press are lapping it up as if it's a good thing, but not when big bad Rangers do it. Anyway, before I continue on that rant, mate, which could go on all night about the state of Scottish refereeing, we'll kind of wrap this up. Look, obviously the win for Hearts in the capital, mate, very much helped us out. Do we just put that down to an off day? Is that just a bump in the road that we expected? Do the players probably deserve a little bit of leeway considering the run that they've just been on? It's not mentality. They wouldn't have went on and won the games that they did. They wouldn't have went on that win streak that they did from the defeat at the Old Firm. They wouldn't have won against Kilmarnock after going a goal down. So I don't think it's bottled. Do we just put it down as collectively that was a stinker? Is it just time to reset now?
Yes, I think it is. I think after the Celtic game, we've been flawless. As I say, it was 11 wins out of 11 or 12 out of 12. I can't remember exactly when you include the cup games, but they have been flawless since that. So in terms of their reaction after that game, it has been fantastic. Clement has obviously spoke about the bump in the road a lot. I didn't expect it to be at home to Motherwell. I think Clement himself,
no one did.
Clement himself has also said he probably didn't expect it to Motherwell. He actually expected it to have happened before then. So I think even the squad has surprised him in terms of that run that he's went on. Ali and I spoke on Friday night about what our expectations should be up until the Old Firm and then into the split. And I think we both agreed that you want to keep at least a 2-point gap. You have the option at Ibrox to go 5 points clear, if not more. And given that we have got our... it looks as though we have used our get out of jail free card on Sunday. It is as you are, but let's get one thing straight. We do not have an endless supply of get out of jail free cards. If we do not react and we have other instances of this sort of complacency, there will come a point where they will take advantage of it. We need to be on it. I do think it was one of them off days. And what really surprised me, Scott, was, see, if you look at our results against Motherwell, even at Ibrox, they've not been great. You look at the last 4 or 5 results, we rarely beat them by more than 1 or 2 goals. This isn't a team that is reflective of being, what are they, 9th, maybe even 10th, and maybe 9th in the league, somewhere around about there. I
think.
They still have an option. They still have a chance of getting into the top 6, but we have a track record of kind of struggling. Again, we spoke the other week there about big moments in seasons. I remember the 55 season where we get 2 late goals. They scored very early. I think we won 3-1. We get 3 quite late goals after 75 minutes. We do not have a brilliant track record. So maybe it was coming. Maybe we were a bit complacent in terms of thinking this would be a walkover. But as I say, it is all about the reaction. I'm sure Clement and the guys will be fully now focused on Benfica. I'm not sure whether having this sort of 2-week break in the league is a good thing. Preferably, I'd just play the league again tomorrow and kind of be able to rectify some of the mistakes. But we've got Benfica, we've got Scottish Cup, and then I think we've got the return leg with Benfica before we return to league duty. So we've got plenty of time to reset. Hopefully, we've got some of our bigger players returning as well over the next few weeks, Scott, and then we go again. We've got 9 games left, 9 cup finals. We need to be looking at, I think, winning all of them, maybe with the exception of Celtic Park. I'd take a draw.
Yes. Strap yourself in, everybody. Strap yourself in. It's because it's going to be a long old journey, and it's going to be an up and down roller coaster for sure. And that's probably not the last of the twists and turns that we've seen. I'm just hoping that it's not too detrimental to our campaign and to our challenge for this title. And yes, big players back. Todd Cantwell's put a thing up on his Twitter, or I think it was Instagram, saying back soon. Please hurry up and come back, Todd. It'll be very welcome to see you. So we'll move on, mate, to Thursday night now, the return of European football, which is bizarre considering we're in March, that we're now back into European football. It's been a bit of a break. As I say, we're travelling to Lisbon to take on Benfica in the first leg of the round of 16 in the Europa League. Benfica are coming into this game after back-to-back defeats, a 2-1 defeat to Sporting in their cup competition, and a 5-0 gubbing from Porto in their league. A bit up and down in terms of their form this season, to be honest, mate, looking into them. No doubt they've got some quality in their ranks. I think that goes without saying, and they are still second in their league. We just have to hope that Thursday night Rangers show up on Thursday. That would be nice, wouldn't it? What's your thoughts ahead of the game?
I would be a lot more confident if we'd beaten Motherwell, to be honest. I think that's put a wee bit of a reality check on some of us. I think I would echo what you've said. Benfica will be tough. They're a big name in European football. I think they were in Champions League. They've obviously dropped out. They will be good. They're second in the Portuguese League. Portuguese League is good. Sporting are top of the league. I think Porto gave them an absolute doing. They are slowly catching up to them at the kind of top of the table as well. You mentioned big names. I think Otamendi from previous Man City's there. Angel Di Maria, Champions League winner, World Cup winner, multi-leagues across multi-countries. Brilliant player, obviously getting on a bit, but they have big players. I think the thing that probably maybe worries me a wee, well, firstly, we're away from home first, which is a bonus, right? That is the key to finishing top. All the hard work that we've done in the group stage, maybe group stage is a bit loose. All the hard work we've done in Betis in the final day has given us that benefit that we go away. And I think Rangers traditionally tend to fare quite well when we go away first. I think we are very good at kind of maintaining results, kind of getting out of there with a draw or maybe even one goal behind and then coming back to the fortress, which is Ibrox on a Thursday night or a Thursday tea time, given UEFA's kick-off time. But we tend to fare quite well there. One of the things that I'm maybe a wee bit concerned about is what we've seen from Rangers, I think, in a lot of these kind of away fixtures where we play big teams, as we rely very heavily on counter-attack and pace. You think about when Gerrard, with Ryan Kent, etc., we're lacking serious pace up top at the minute. And obviously we'll come on to do our teams, but McCausland, from what I hear, left Ibrox in crutches. I don't think he is going to make it. You've not got Matondo, you've not got Sima. You're missing that kind of industrious energy that gets you up the park, because the reality is Benfica will have a lot of the ball. They will dominate the ball on Thursday night. We obviously need to be very structured in our shape and try and hit them on the counter. And that's the only thing that maybe worries me a wee bit at the minute, Scott, is who's going to take us up the park. Because you've got the likes of maybe Dessers, not blessed with pace. His hold-up play, etc., has been a lot better than certainly what it was at the start of the season. But that's maybe my only area of concern at the minute, is if we are under serious pressure, have we got the composure to put your foot on the ball and keep the ball, but also can we break at pace? Can we take the pressure off? Can we get into their half, win throws, win corners, win free kicks, etc.? That's the only thing at the minute that's maybe a wee bit concerning, and it would have been great if we maybe had the likes of a Matondo or a Sima who's got that kind of running power to help.
Yeah, obviously we are not we're not privy to the team news because we're recording on Tuesday, mate. The press conference will be on Wednesday before the game on Thursday, so we don't know for sure. I would doubt that McCausland will make the team, based on the same that the rumours are that he left Ibrox on crutches, which is unfortunate. Not a booking, though, not a booking. Anyway, Scott, don't digress. Continue where you were. But it's just all about keeping the tie alive on Thursday night, mate. We just have to make sure by the time we get back to Ibrox, we've got a fighting chance. We all know that special things can happen at Ibrox on a Thursday night. We've seen it many times before. It's a fantastic place to go when the squad are... the squad are in with a chance. The atmosphere is literally like none other I've ever heard, and it's proved to be some of the best nights of my life that I've heard. I've had during Thursday nights at Ibrox and the Europa League for sure. But yeah, it's just about keeping it alive, and everything you said is spot on, mate. We have to be smart with the ball. We have to take the chances should they come our way, and we have to do our best to just keep ourselves in the tie. I don't think it's I think you put Benfica as kind of slight favourites, but I think based on our track record in this competition, I don't think anybody will be taking us for granted, and I'm happy. Well, am I happy? I don't know if they're going to be raring to go for the fact that they get gubbed 5-0 at the weekend, or they might be licking their wins. I very much hope they're licking their wins. I very much hope they are. So with that, mate, we will go on to what we think our teams will be and what our scores will be. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first, mate.
Go for it, mate.
So obviously we've now got the benefit of having added a few players to the squad from the pre-Christmas stuff. I suspect that back five will probably remain the same. If I'm right, I don't think Balogun came in to the squad. So I think Tav, Goldson, Suter, Ridvan, obviously Butland as a starter. Midfield, I suspect Lundstrom will play. I think Clement made points of on Saturday that they're managing Lawrence's minutes. I think they've obviously taken him out of the Motherwell game. He's obviously maybe come on earlier than he would have hoped, but I suspect it will be Diamonde alongside Lundstrom because he's obviously come into the squad. I think Lawrence will be the 10. I probably similar to you. We don't have insider information to what's happening with McCausland. I think I'll be the same as you. I think Sterling will be the right wing. I think Scott Wright will come in as left wing. I honestly do. I think we've talk about the pace and who's going to get us up the park. Scott Wright is just about one of the only ones left in that squad at the minute in those kind of winger positions that I think can take us up the park and carry us. I think Dessers will play as well. Obviously, Fabio Silva has come into the squad as well. But I think Dessers will lead the line. So, yeah, I think front three will be Sterling on the right. I think Wright will come in on the left. And I think Dessers will play up top, mate. Score, I think it'll be one each. We've got a track record of drawing. We obviously had a 2 each and a 3 each with them a couple of years ago when we met. I think it will be 1 each, and I'm going to go with Tom Lawrence to score our goal.
Yeah, I'll take it, mate. I think there's a number of things that I could see happening with the team, and I don't know if I'm over-analysing it based on, and whether it's even in Clement's playbook to do something like this, but I could see Rangers maybe moving to like a 4-4-1 and playing Ridvan almost as a left mid and playing Barisic behind him, with the rest of the back being the way that it is. Sterling on the right hand side of that. And the only reason I'm doing that is because I don't really want Scott Wright to start. It's no criticism of him, but he doesn't perform when he starts. And then the midfield of Lundstrom, Diamonde, and then it leaves you with probably Lawrence and Dessers or Lawrence and Silva at the front. I don't know if that's in something that you would consider. I know it would look probably a wee bit too defensive for us, but Ridvan does have a bit of pace, and if he doesn't have to worry about getting back too much, it would be interesting to see how he responds there. Again, and it really is trying to put players in positions where I think they can have an effect on the game. If we're going to go with what we've kind of seen under Clement, then yeah, your start 11 makes sense. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know if it's the right game because he's not played a lot. Is Ryan Jack coming back into the squad because he is good at keeping the ball. He is very good at retaining possession, and him and Lundstrom playing together has worked in the past. So I can see the kind of clamour for that as well. So yeah, I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket, mate, and say I'm going to be able to pick a team because, well, no, I will. So the back five will be the back five: Lundstrom, Jack, Lawrence, Silva, Sterling, and Dessers for me. I think you keep the pace on the bench. I think that leaves us without a striker though, because I don't think Kamar Roof's and you don't think he is in the European squad.
No, I think he is, mate. I think Kamar. I was looking at it this morning. I'm sure I've seen Kamar Roof on there. I think he's maybe just been injured for a lot of the kind of pre-Christmas stuff, but I'm pretty sure Kamar Roof.
Sure,
I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure he is in there. I think we obviously added the 3, didn't we? We added Ridvan, we added Fabio Silva, and we added Diamonde. So obviously Cortez is injured, but he missed out. But it's a good point on Ryan Jack. As I say, I think I would echo what you say, Scott. I think there's 3 key things. One is, can we keep the ball when we're under pressure? 2 is, can we get up the park with pace? And the 3rd one is, can we take big chances when they come along? So Ryan Jack ticks one of those boxes. As you say, Ryan Jack is very good at putting his foot on the ball. He's a calming influence. He can retain possession as well, albeit a lot of these passings kind of sideways, but sometimes that's what you need, right? When you're chasing the ball about for spells of 3 and 4 and 5 minutes straight, sometimes you just need these players to get a breather.
Yeah, but I also think Ryan Jack's very good at covering Tav. We may need Tav when he pushes forward. He is very good at covering their kind of right hand side, and or even the left-hand side for that matter. He's good when the players get forward. He's good at covering the areas. So no, it's just what I mean. I don't know how fit he is. Obviously, he made the bench. I think on Saturday. I'm sure he was on the bench on Saturday. So it'll be interesting.
The only thing I will say, mate, is that thought that you've just put in my head of Borna Barisic coming in and facing up Di Maria is going to give me nightmares right through to Thursday, mate.
Yeah, I know. I was just really having a think out loud probably the other day. And I was kind of thinking, I wasn't thinking out loud. I don't say all my thoughts out loud. Where did that come from? I was having a think to myself about the formation that you might go with. And I thought, well, I mean, you could play Ridvan there. Would there be any real danger in kind of moving it to that? A more kind of flatter midfield. I don't know. It's a tough one. It really is. The injury list that are creeping up is a sore one, and the fact that we don't have Cortez there just now is a real shame, or Seamer for that matter. So it is a real shame. But no, I will also go for one each, and I'll go for the Nigerian Nightmare to score because he's bloody due one. So I'll go with him. One each, get the tie back to Ibrox, and who knows what will happen from there. Nicky, for tonight, mate, that will do. So thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having us, mate. Couple of days build up and then looking forward to the return of European football.
Absolutely. Thank you everybody for tuning in. As I say, please subscribe to the channel. It is free to do so. Please like the video. We will be back on Thursday. I'm away for work. I'm not quite 100% sure how this is going to look on Thursday, but there will definitely be a reaction of some sorts on Thursday. So just leave that with me. I've not finalised how we're going to do that. But yes, I very much hope to be talking to you on Thursday night after a result for Rangers as we return to Europe. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll speak to you next time. We have been Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Cheers, everybody.